Peace, and welcome to our top 10 pirate themes in gaming. The guidelines today include: number 1, on a pirate ship, in a pirate game, or the theme of a pirate character. Number 2, pirates of the sea, sky, and space are allowed. Number 3, as always, one per franchise. I have been looking forward to this one for a while, so let's get this started. Our first up is from Mega Man and Bass, the theme of Pirate Man. It's really hard to describe this beat in a matter of a few sentences, and when only playing around 30 seconds. If you like the snippets we play, I would recommend checking out the full theme. First released in 1998 on the Super Famicom and later released on the Game Boy Advance in 2002. This is one of the examples that I can think of where I prefer the Game Boy Advance version. The Super Famicom version seems a bit harsh with the firm notes, while the GBA theme is a lot smoother. It blends together well. Up next in our number 9 spot, we have Treasure Trove Cove from Banjo-Kazooie. This classic theme comes from the 1998 Nintendo 64 game by Rare, composed by Grant Kirkhope, who we have talked about many times before. He's one of the great composers, and you may know him from any number of games. The Nintendo 64 was an interesting time for chiptunes. Nintendo 64 games are usually about 12 megabytes, and they could reach up to 64 megabytes, which is a drastic improvement over the SNES and its 5 megabyte games. But it's still very short of the 650 megabyte CDs you can find on the PS1 and Sega Saturn at the time. The thing chiptunes do have is their unique flavor. I like the sound chip in the Nintendo 64. It can produce a nice clean sound, and I think Treasure Trove Cove is a good example. Mr. Kirkhope did a good job with this theme. It has a lively sound, and it can even sound a bit natural at times. Which anytime that's done on a chiptune, I give them a thumbs up. In at number 8, we have Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, the theme of Sunburn Island, Scorching Dunes. I think the Shantae series has some underrated tunes. The themes are usually quite solid. I don't think there's any music in the series that I would call just flat out bad. Composed by Jake Kaufman, he composed the music for the entire Shantae series minus the 7 sirens. This isn't your typical pirate theme. It has a very electronic feel that doesn't make me think anything about pirates. With that being said, it does have portions that make me think of a desert, which could be where a pirate buried his treasure. Somehow, pirates and deserts work. Maybe it's just the similar look to a beach that brings the two together. Overall, this theme jams along, and it's a pleasant listen. Our lucky number 7 spot is held by Donkey Kong Country, Gangplank Galleon. A classic theme that screams SNES. And don't let the first 15 seconds fool you, this is not your grandfather's Donkey Kong theme. This newer and hipper version screams 90s. A time when Donkey Kong gave up kidnapping princesses and took on his own adventure. The trilogy is full of outstanding music. The sound chip may have limitations that the composers need to work around, but it reminds me of an old quote people used to say about Michael Jordan. You can't stop him, you just hope to contain him. And when you hire a composer like David Wise to do the soundtrack for your game, even if it's on a console as limited as the Super Nintendo, you still get something that stands out. In at number 6, we have Castlevania 3, the theme titled Anxiety. The background theme for the Haunted Ship of Fools. I don't really think about pirates when I think about Castlevania, but there are instances in the series that this does happen. On the Japanese version of Castlevania 3, Konami opted to use their own VRC6. This adds 3 additional channels of audio, taking the NES audio from 5 channels to an impressive 8. This helps the music feel fuller and more in depth. However, in this case, I grew up playing the American version of Castlevania 3, so I prefer that one. However, the Japanese one is still good, and we will give you a few examples of both. Our 5th spot is held by Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Defeat the Foreign Pirates. I tried to keep Tenchu off the list, but when it came down to it, I would rather listen to this than a majority of other tracks. I know wanting to listen to it doesn't make it better, but it sure does help. This is one of, if not the most unique soundtrack that I have listened to in a video game. It mixes modern with traditional instruments. Usually I can tell you what instruments appear on a song, but with this one, there's always a gray area. I can't tell you every single one, and I like that. When you use instruments that aren't on every song, it's not going to sound like every song, and I like that too. The theme itself may not scream pirate, but its uniqueness is a quality trait, and one of its strong points. Unlucky number 4 comes from the Sea of Thieves, a track titled Maiden Voyage. This one really gives off some pirate vibes. I can picture pirates sitting around a campfire telling tall tales or singing folk songs while sipping on some grog. About halfway through, it turns into a theme that is perfect for a voyage at sea. You can feel the adventure in the music. From the newest game on our list today, Sea of Thieves was first released in 2018. Composed by Robin Beanland, you may know him from his work on the original Killer Instinct, or perhaps the elevator theme from GoldenEye 007. And that's not a bad way to start out a career. In his first few games, he worked with Evelyn Fisher and David Wise, along with Graham Norgate and Grant Kirkhope. If there was one thing that Rare did right, it's the composers they hired. You have 5 incredibly talented people, and I would say easily 5 of the best video game composers in all of Europe, which is a top 10 that we just might do. In our bronze position today, we have the opening theme from The Secret of Monkey Island. One of the more upbeat themes on the list today, I almost get a Caribbean or island-like vibe. I can definitely picture palm trees and beaches. And of course, like a lot of the themes we talk about, there's a newer rendition that appears in The Secret of Monkey Island, the Special Edition. Released in 2009, this remastered soundtrack sounds amazing. If you follow the channel, you know we are not fans of compression, because it holds back some otherwise really good tunes. And this one is a good example. It sounds more natural and quite smooth. Our silver spot today is held by a franchise that's known for great music. From Final Fantasy V, Pirates Ahoy. This would be my all-time favorite pirate theme, if the next theme didn't exist. However, it does, so this will have to settle for number 2. Some of the previous themes didn't really feel like a pirate theme. This, however, screams pirate, especially the first 40 seconds. I can picture sailing the high seas and hunting for some gold. Composed by Nobuo Uematsu, with the limited technology of the SNES, he did a great job. I can easily picture pirates doing pirate things. And of course, before we get to our number one theme, we have some honorable mentions. In our top spot today, we have one you may not expect, a theme titled Mast in the Mist. Composed by Yoko Kanno, most of her music can be found in anime and movies. However, thankfully, she does have some games on her resume. This theme might be the complete opposite of what you think of when you hear the word pirate. It's calm, clean, smooth, and relaxing. 4 things that are not very pirate-like, yet here we are. This theme first appeared on Uncharted Waters Part 2, New Horizons. It was released on multiple consoles as well as computers. I think the SNES soundtrack is far superior to the Genesis in this case. But then later on, when it was released for the Sega Saturn and the Sony PlayStation, I would say these, by far, are the best 2 versions. Both consoles opted for their own version of the theme, the PlayStation 1 being a little bit faster tempo, while the Sega Saturn version is a little bit more true to the original, and possibly my favorite version of the theme. So there you have our favorite pirate themes. Up next, we will be doing our top 10 favorite European composers. And of course, let's not forget a huge shout out to our gold level patrons, Bearsona and Quantum X. I am ICC. Thanks for watching. Peace.